If we want a woman's only gym, that's what we gonna have.
Hey friends, so I have hopped across the pond and discovered UK TikTok, and there's this trending story of a woman that goes by the IG and TikTok handle NataleeBFitness, real name Natalie Barnett, which I think is her Instagram handle. But she is trending because she has started up a gym, so she's a founder of a gym, but the thing is, it is a biological women only gym, and the tea is that when she started out with getting funding, she did not disclose that and actually had made statements supporting the trans community. And so there's a lot of different takes on it. Obviously, this is a very controversial topic. People get very emotional about it. The point of this video is to bring different perspectives. So you're going to hear from some folks that are very much in support of what she's doing, others that are not in support of it, and then also people from the trans community and their particular take and stories on their different experiences. And so the hopes of this video is to offer a different perspective. The purpose is not to offend anyone on either side of the table. Now let's kick off the videos.
In 2021, 4 years ago, I made a tweet, and the tweet referenced my women's only gym, the Girl Spot, and being trans inclusive. Now, when I made that tweet in 2021, I had just announced my plans to open a women's only gym. I hadn't thought out the vision or the mission or what it would entail, but all I knew is that I wanted to open a gym. We are now 4 years later, and I have had a great deal of time to figure that out. The Girl Spot Gym exists as a safe space for women because women are facing gym harassment, sexual assault, and sexual violence inside of gyms, and I know that because I'm a victim of it. So the meaning of the Girl Spot Gym is now entirely different, and I say this to say that whilst we are a gym, inside we are focusing on self-defense classes, Muay Thai, boxing classes, as well as workshops and activations around PCOS and training on your menstrual cycle, all of which occur to biological women. Majority of the women who are seeking my women's only gym, the Girl Spot, are coming here because they have faced some level of gym intimidation or sexual violence and assault that has been perpetrated by men. So as the owner of the gym, it is very important to make it clear how my women's only gym will be operating, and it will be operating as a single sex space for biological women. Now, we do believe that everybody deserves a safe space, and there are many gyms that are starting to have mixed cubicles and changing rooms so that individuals can feel safer and more included in these environments. But the Girl Spot Gym as a standalone is a female only gym because it is imperative that I stick to the vision and the mission and ensure that these women feel safe.
Now, she recognizes the trans community, but her thinking is that biological women need these specific spaces and need these catered classes and educational focuses within the gym. And her perspective as the owner is that these will be centered around biological women only.
NataleeBFitness deciding that transgender women no longer being invited to her women's only gym when 4 years ago she said that transgender women were accepted at her women's only gym is not transphobic. She just missed out on a very small demographic of women, and it's no longer inclusive. But it's one blood clot gym. I'm sure the trans community will be very fine. All I want to know is what safety measures, keyword safety, because that is what the creation of this gym is centered around. What safety measures will be put in place to differentiate trans women from biological cisgender women? Because I have witnessed women that are very tall, broad shoulders, deep voice, even down to a bad wig, be misgendered. So how exactly are you going to do this? My thing is, thinking that you can make an announcement like this in a 1 minute video, especially when the topic is gender, a subject that is very complex, whether you like it or not. We live in the UK. And the way the video was structured was insane as well. Talking about the previous tweet you made, then going on to the safety of women and harassment from men, to then back to announcing that trans women are no longer accepted and it's a biological women only safe space is crazy. And although social media is a great way to market and document the growth of your business, please figure out the legalities first before coming on here and making announcements, because you've got people in the comments that don't even go to the blood clot gym projecting their ignorance.
Now, this creator raised a great question, and it is going to be a question that comes up later in the video, and that is, how exactly are the staff of this gym going to interpret, right, whether someone is a biological woman or a trans woman? What exactly are they going to do to make that determination? Because many people today cannot tell just based on visual appearance, and I think you get into some very sticky situations when you're saying that something is only XYZ. Well, in today's world, how can you tell if someone's, what their biology is at the end of the day when they're coming into your store, in this case a gym? And so that's an interesting point. Let me know your thoughts about that.
How many people have actually been intimidated by trans women in the gym? So in my 6 years of going to the gym, I've only ever met one trans woman. I'm so curious as to where people are going to the gym where trans women are such a problem that they have to campaign for them to no longer be in their spaces anymore. Even in the fitness space, the gym space, I don't see a lot of influencers that are trans women. So I don't know how they're able to take up this much space in people's minds when they don't even take up that much space in reality.
Now, I actually did not hear this topic come up in the conversations at all outside of this particular creator. And I will have to say, I've been to many gyms. I've never looked for a women's only gym, but I also am a woman that have not had issues with, having any physical safety issues with men in the gym, typically because I'm around other women when I do go. But she raises a great point, and I don't even know what the population of trans women is, even in the United States. So I am wondering, how big of an issue is this? We get into this topic when we talk about the gender-specific restrooms and such. So let me know what you think about that. Next, we are going to hear from some different creators who are proudly and loudly saying that they 100% agree with Natalie on her stance that this gym should be a safe space only for biological women.
I'm all for the trans community, I'm saying, be who you are, but also be so for real. She said she only wants biological women in that gym because, what I'm saying? Trans women, you are a woman, be what you want, but you also have the abilities of a man.
I speak for NataleeBFitness. I'm gonna say some stuff she's too scared to say herself. All you people out there who are giving her grief, you know what you could do? Mwah! And you know what you can kiss? You can kiss it right there! That's what you could do. If we want a woman's only gym, that's what we gonna have. And if you don't like it, you know what you could do. And that goes for Bad Boy, the label, the staff, and the crew. And if you want to be down with all those haters, then you too. That's right. All you people, get money. First, we said that trans people could come. She said it because she didn't think it through. Then after speaking to people like me, we said, hell no! Women's only gyms are for women. And if people don't like it, they can kiss my you-know-what. I don't want to hear one peep from you people. Women only gym means women, biological women only. And if you don't like it, you know what you could do.
Biological women deserve a safe space. I agree. But where were the people shouting that when NataleeBFitness said, how many years ago, that she was including trans women in the gym? It was silent. It was silent. Nobody cared. Now people are shouting it. Oh, it's, we deserve, just let us have one thing. Just let us have one thing. But you weren't shouting that back then, though. Now, my opinion is, I don't want to be in a place where I'm not accepted. So I'm totally fine. I'm cool with it. It's not my gym. It's not my gym. I'm not going to be going to that gym. It's not in my area. Reason I think that biological women don't want people in their space is because of all the Delulu people, all the ones that wake up one day with a beard and chest hair, walk outside with a cute little dress with cherries on it, and say, yeah, I'm a woman. Don't attempt to change nothing. No change at all. They just wake up one day and say, yeah, I'm a woman, and they walk down the road, chest hair, a fucking cute dress on with a bulge showing. That's what I think. All of these people hating, that's what I think. If we were back when it wasn't like that, and it was just trans women wanted to pass, trans women wanted to actually, you know, go down that journey and become who they believe they are. If everyone did that, and we wasn't just letting women walk around with bulges and beards and chest hair, I think everyone would have been cool with it. But the problem is, when biological women hear trans woman, they don't think of the non-delulu trans women, is what I'm going to call it. They think in their head they're going to stumble into a person that has chest hair, that has beard, a fucked up wig and a bulge in the gym. That's what they think, and that's why I think that's what the hate is. So I'm not even mad at it. I'm not even going to be mad at it, because I know that there's loads of T people out there that are ruining it for the rest of the T people. They're ruining it. Not ruining, it's already ruined. That's why I don't shout it from the rooftops. That's why I don't put badges in my, you know, fucking flags in my bio and shit. That's why I just walk down the road, I blend in with society, and I just be myself. I don't shout it, I don't tell everyone, I just walk, I'm a human. I'm blending in, you know? And I wouldn't want to be in a place where I'm not accepted. Yeah, I think that's the reason anyway in my head. And the people commenting before they even watch my videos is hilarious. The people calling me a he, the people saying, yeah, you're one of the people that we would recognise is trans. I'm like, but I never said that you wouldn't. I never said you wouldn't, and I never said I don't. I am not delusional. I understand that I will always be. Nothing is ever going to change the fact that I am a biological male. Nothing. Calling me a man, calling me a he, does not offend me. Does not offend me. I go along with my day. I don't care. In daily life, when I'm walking around and stuff, going into shops, talking to, you know, going to restaurants, I don't get called a he, so I'm cool. I'm cool. But even if they did, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to be like Lily Tino and I'm going to complain. I don't care. I don't know that fucking waitress. I don't know that shop worker. Who gives a fuck? Do you know what I do know though? I know who I am. And I don't give a fuck. And the people going out their way to hate on T people, saying, we can always tell. We can always tell. Every time we can tell. No, you can't. I hate it when people say that. So with a guarantee, you can sit there and guarantee that you can tell that every T woman, you can tell. I don't even know sometimes. Even with T men, you cannot tell. And I hate that argument when they say, oh, you can tell, you can always tell. No, you can't. Stop being a hater. You're lying. And people who turn around to me and like, yeah, we can tell. It's like, do you want a medal? I'm confused. You're acting as if I'm sitting here and trying to hide it. I don't give a shit that you can tell. Good for you. Do you want a fucking medal? I don't get it.
Why is there so much issues with Natalie wanting only biological women in the gym? Because if it's really a problem, why doesn't someone who's an advocate for the LGBTQ community open up a gym or an inclusive place for LGBTQ? In the same way Natalie has taken her time to open up her space for women only, like, why didn't that just happen? Because what happens when men start pretending to identify as trans just to get into the gym? It's not going to be a safe space for women. And even though trans women aren't necessarily threatening, maybe not all women feel that they can trust trans. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, why don't you guys just open up your own, the same way she's put her effort in to building her gym after all these years, like.
So, like we all know, this is a very heavy and sensitive topic. I did want to explore this, and as I was exploring the conversations people were having, I wanted to be sure that I included and heard from trans women themselves and what their perspective was on the topic. And I saw a lot of mixed commentary, but for the most part, I would say most of the commentary fell in line with the next videos. And I want you to take particular attention to the last video that I'm sharing, as one trans woman in particular that has had a very interesting journey shares her experience and shares how she relates to what the woman Natalie is doing in terms of providing a safe space for women, but also providing more context around the trans women and how this feels for them and some of the challenges that they have had with the men in particular. But before we get there, a quick word from someone that wants to highlight how straight people are able to partake in trans women's safe spaces, meanwhile don't give anything back. And this was an interesting perspective for me and kind of eye-opening, so check this out.
NataleeBFitness, or anyone who agrees with her, or generally anyone who thinks that trans women aren't women and don't belong in women-only spaces, I never want to see you in a gay club again. Never want to see you in the line for heaven, going to chapel rowing concerts, whatever else is cool to do for straight people nowadays. Never want to see you say like, oh, I love gay clubs, I feel so safe there, it's so much better than straight clubs where there are always people harassing me. You are not allowed in those spaces. How are you with your chest going to say that this safe space is for me and you should make your own safe spaces while simultaneously invading trans and queer people's safe spaces? And there's something that's always bothered me, and it's something I feel is really not socially acceptable to say anymore, that I hate straight people in gay clubs. This is why, because even if you don't really have an opinion on trans people in women-only spaces or gender-exclusive spaces, you are part of the problem. How are you going to go into queer spaces, take up space in spaces that queer people have made for themselves to feel safe, and then not do anything when trans rights are taken away? These are the same people that say shit like, oh, I love my gay best friend, or like, oh, I love like dancing with gay guys. And if you are a straight person that goes to gay clubs and gay spaces and does absolutely nothing for the community, nothing to advocate for them, nothing to use your privilege, you are a terrible person. The fact that she said with her chest, oh, trans people should make safe spaces for themselves, as if they haven't been for however many years, and as if straight people haven't been invading them. How are you going to say with chest that you as a straight person have the right to go into queer spaces because you're an ally, while simultaneously saying that trans people are not allowed in your space? And another thing, I understand this argument that making a place that is not safe for trans people will have negative effects on cis women, but can we not have that be the only argument? Like, this should be bad because it is bad for trans women. Not everything needs to affect you for it to be bad or for you to understand why it's bad. And I just don't like this narrative that because you as a cis woman might be impacted by this, then you should care about it. You should care anyway.
I don't have many thoughts on this women-only gym other than how the fuck are you going to be able to prove that someone is a biological woman when they try to come into your gym? How? How are we going to try to prove it? Are you going to have them drop their pants in front of you? Like, what is it? And to exclude a group of women who absolutely face danger, violence, just out in the streets alone, just like any other woman does, is crazy to me. Excluding them simply because they are not biological women, crazy. All this is doing is just perpetuating the same rhetoric that cis white men are using, because what are you going to do when you have a more masculine presenting woman come into the door? You are perpetuating white supremacy this way, and the ideals of femininity are stemmed and rooted in white supremacy. And if you can't see that, I don't know how the fuck you're allowed to open a business like that. So, fuck you.
Hi, yeah, I'd like to join your gym. Oh, okay, yeah, are you a woman? Yeah, I'm a woman. Okay, prove it. Sorry, what? So yeah, this gym's for only biological women, so we need to check. What?
And this is another thing as well. People are scared to talk about things. People are scared now. Doctors are scared. Everyone's scared to say anything because people are just so offended these days. I'll give an example. I was at the doctor's. He asked me if I was pregnant. I said, no, I was born male. Right? He then said to me, yes, when you walked in, I did realise that you were trans. I knew that you were trans, and I knew you were born male. Right? Yeah, a bit unprofessional for him to say that. He didn't need to. But I could have walked out like Lily Tino. I could have complained. I could have sent emails to that doctor's. I could have, rang up and did loads of complaints. You know what I did? I walked out. I made a video and I laughed about it. I made a video and I said, the doctor clocked me. Not the doctor clocking me. I was laughing at it, and then I went on with my day, and I never thought about it again. No, I totally understand what you are saying. I've even had my followers. I have nearly 70,000 followers, right? And I've had people comment and saying, "Well, I had no idea." It's like, yeah, because I don't talk about it. I just don't bring it up. I've made probably thousands of videos, right? If you went through my videos, I guarantee you'd pick out about 10. Even that's a high number of me talking about being a tea person. People don't care that you're tea. Stop pushing it in people's faces. Do you know what I mean? Walk down the fucking road, get on with your life like everyone else is. You are not higher, you are not more better than someone because you are tea. You don't need to tell everyone that you're tea. Like I was saying an example, like in job interviews and stuff, every single job that I've had, I have never once, when I've been there and they've said, "Oh, tell me about yourself," I've never once said, "Oh, I'm a tea person." Tea person is so funny because it sounds like, you know, drinking tea. But yeah, never once brought it up. And I knew in the workplace that some people were looking at me and thinking, there's something different. There's something different about you. But I'd never mention it. You know why? Because that's a workplace and nobody needs to know no one needs to know. No one cares. Stop making it your personality. Do you know what I mean? Get on with your fucking life. And this is why I don't believe that I'm in some sort of group, some sort of community. That makes no sense to me. What is that? Why am I in a group? I'm just me. I don't want to be in a fucking group. I don't want to have to fucking wave a flag. What even is that? I'm sorry. Yes, I get it. Be proud of who you are. Go to fucking Pride and all that shit. Cool. But why do we have to have flags in our bio? And why do we have to meet people and say, "By the way, I'm she. Please, can you call me a she?" I'm sorry. The reason tea people are getting hate is because of those tea people that don't want to look any different, don't want to change nothing. They wake up one day, a fully bearded, masculine, bulky ass man, and they put on a dress, they walk down the road and they have a wig on, a fucked up wig, and they're walking down the road with a bulge. That is why people, and we all get put into that category now. We all get seen like that. That's what we get, that's what people think a tea person is. Yeah.
Alright, so I wanted to throw some thoughts out into the universe about this whole women's only gym situation, because as a transgender woman, I have a lot of thoughts and perspectives, and I just wanted to share some of my story and then also just give you guys my thoughts about the concept of a biological women's only gym. So I want to start by saying that it's just so perfect that something like this is happening right now during a time when there is so much bigotry against transgender people. And I want to start by saying that if you're someone who wants to have a gym that only allows biological women, I think that that is your right. I think that you should be able to have whatever safe space, book club, exclusive club, cult, whatever you would like to have. And I don't really have an issue with it because, first of all, I don't personally believe in fighting to be in spaces that I'm not welcomed in. So personally, I'm not really bothered by the idea of being excluded from a group that doesn't want me there. But there have been some complexities that I've personally experienced with not even really my experience with this, but my fear around experiencing this. So if you don't know who I am someone who transitioned a very long time ago. I am going to be turning 35 this year. And I came out as trans when I was 15 years old and started my hormonal transition at 19. But as a teenager, I developed in, I would say, a fairly atypical way. I don't exactly know why. I have no really solid medical explanation for this, though I have my suspicions. But I started to develop breasts as a teenager. And that made me changing in the locker rooms really, really complex. Something that would happen quite frequently is that I would have these guys do this thing to me where they would like come up to me in the locker room and they would grope me. But it was like, there was like a difference between like this kind of bullying, shitty thing that dudes are trying to do to each other and what was happening to me, because it would be like a joking grope and then like a curious grope, right? Because of course I was in a locker room topless around boys who were curious about boobs, and I had them, right? So fortunately for me, I was a bit of a teacher's pet in school, and fortunately I was able to get out of class at a certain point. Some of my teachers were kind of understanding about that. I would get out of class a little bit early in my periods that I had before PE, and I would change in the in the bathroom when no one was in the bathroom, no one was out of class, and I would be able to go to PE without really even needing to go into the locker room. And honestly, because of that experience, there are many aspects of this conversation that I understand. I'm someone who would go on after that experience to experience quite a bit of sexual assault. If you follow me, you know that I talk a lot about that. It's something that is a major point of conversation that I have. And I, through that experience, do understand the reasons why so many biological women would not want to, have spaces that include people that they see as men. I understand that because I do, to some degree, feel a degree of safety in women's spaces. I'm also someone who, when I go to the front desk and ask them if they have a public restroom and they point me to one, I'm consistently pointed towards the women's restroom. And outside of the context of like gyms and showers, I've been using women's spaces now for the vast majority of my life. And it is, from my own experience, a complete non-issue. It's also the space that I'm pushed towards, and I'm never pushed towards the boys' room, the boys' locker room, none of that, none of that. If I were to go based off of where people told me I should go, I have been consistently pushed towards going into the women's restroom, into the women's spaces. And honestly, this was my experience even before I was deliberately stealth, because another aspect of my story is I was stealth through my 20s for a little bit of time. Stealth, for those of you guys who don't know, it means that I was existing in a way where the people around me did not know that I was transgender. I was who I am now, just not telling people that I was trans. And, even within those situations, it's like when I go to buy clothes, I am encouraged to go to the women's change room. It's just one of those things where it's like there's a difference between the way that people talk about this and the reality of how these things actually work. What stands out to me is that there really is no way for people to know if someone is designated male at birth or not. I mean, some people think that it's so easy to know. There's people who look at me all the time and say, oh, it's so obvious, even though I was stealth, right? There's a lot of trans people that I've personally known, even in passing, like who I didn't have a clue were trans at first, who I would later find out were trans. Like, people don't really understand that trans women have always been in these spaces. They've always been doing these things. If you think that the trans conversation is brand new, like I said, I'm going to turn 35 this year. I came out at 15 as a trans person. Do the math, right? I was doing what I was doing based on girls who came before me who were much, 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 much older than me, right? Like, trans people have always existed in the society. The real difference is that now you guys have more awareness of it, right? Now people have more awareness of who is and isn't trans. And if we are to argue that trans women are dangerous in women's spaces, we should actually be able to observe that. We should actually be able to have multiple experiences of that, not just recently on, during these very politicized times, right? We should be able to look back in the past and see that, because trans women have been around for longer than I think most people are really able to have a recognition of. And so I know from where I'm sitting that trans women experience an incredible amount of violence, that very often we don't feel like we ever have spaces to go to exercise and to shower the way that everyone else does. And in the reality of it is that people like me, we just kind of end up accepting that we're never going to be able to do it, right? Like, I don't go to the gym. I had a Planet Fitness membership for a little bit. I never went into the women's locker room. And ultimately it discouraged me from going to the gym, right? And what's interesting to me about this is, you know, the cis women, the biological women having these conversations, they're already aware of the antagonism that exists within the gyms, right? There's a reason why you want to have a women's only gym, right? There's a reason, right? A lot of women don't want to deal with being harassed, and for a lot of trans women, the benefit of a public gym would be, I can go somewhere, exercise, and not be harassed, right? And the reality for most trans women is that we're always kind of struggling to feel like we can have space to do that, right? I know for me, for a really long time, I didn't use the public women's restroom. I would hold it for as long as I could. I would go in bushes with like little cups that I would get from the cafeteria. I would go in those, and then I would toss it in the trash. Some people ran into that with me, unfortunately, in college. Like, it was so hard to feel like I could go and use any of the facilities in public, right? Until I had some of my friends be like, bitch, just use the women's restroom. Like, I had to have some of my friends be like, why would you not use the women's restroom? For me to recognize, like, okay, it's not as big of a thing, right? And I said, like, that's been for a while. I graduated college in 2012. Fuck, I'm old. But you know what I mean? Like, I wish that people had a recognition around the fact that there would have probably been about 10 or so trans women that would have tried to go to this gym. But right now, this conversation has encouraged a lot of people to openly argue why trans women never deserve safety or space that is safe for them.